A long time ago, the Earth was a very different place. Hundreds of millions of years before the dinosaurs, the Earth was covered with vast oceans filled with life. That life took the form of simple, single-celled organisms, algae and phytoplankton. Those organisms converted the sun's energy into chemical energy. They consumed carbon dioxide and produced oxygen. When they died, they fell to the bottom of the ocean floor, covered by layers of sediment. Heat and pressure converted the single-celled creatures into oil. 150 years ago, us humans began extracting that oil, and that's when our world profoundly changed. Oil is the lifeblood of our society. Almost everything in our life is made from oil. It brings us what we need to live. It takes us where we need to go. But oil is having disastrous impact on our life. Fuel cells are revolutionizing the world. Fuel cells are, in my opinion, the most efficient way to produce electricity. Fuel cells will dictate the world in the future. A fuel cell is an electrochemical energy conversion device. Fuel cells convert hydrogen and oxygen into chemical energy. This is the only resource that operates continuously with very high efficiency as long as there is a flow of energy going in to operate the fuel cell. A huge disadvantage comparing to batteries is that in batteries you have to replace them every so often because the chemical energy stored in them runs out. With a hydrogen fuel cell, they don't necessarily run out. As long as you have access to air and hydrogen, they will continuously operate at a very high efficiency, making them a really good choice for the future. There are three main parts in a hydrogen fuel cell: the anode, the cathode, and the membrane in between, which also acts as a catalyst to speed up the reaction. Hydrogen atoms enter a fuel cell at the anode, where the chemical reaction splits the atoms of their electrons. This makes the atoms ionized, positively charged. The electrons then flow through an external circuit, generating an electrical current. At the cathode, the electrons and the hydrogen ions combine with oxygen to make water, which then flows out of the cell as one of the two byproducts. A fuel cell takes in hydrogen and oxygen and produces electricity, with heat and water as its only byproduct. I strongly believe that fuel cells are the most efficient renewable resource there is. This is because they produce more efficient energy than combustible power plants, and they're more efficient than batteries. There's also a very big health factor associated with this renewable energy source. Most other renewable energy sources competing with this with fuel cells have many disadvantages, and I'd like to point out some of them. Nuclear, there's a very big cost factor included with this. Waste for nuclear lasts 200 to 500,000 years, so it's very difficult to get new land to put the waste there. Uranium is mined under tribes and indigenous people, so it's disrupting their way of life and habitat. Shipping waste across countries leads to terrorism, which can be very dangerous. And there's been high risks of accidents such as Chernobyl, Fukushima recently, and North 3 Mile Island, Manhattan. There's been many fatalities. Geothermal is difficult to drill into the rock because it's so hard. The temperature required to drill is the minimum temperature is 350 degrees Celsius, and the required parts to make a drill are very expensive. For tidal energy, there's not many places that tidal energy can be harnessed efficiently. There's only 20 sites in the world where this can be harnessed, and there be a net gain. These sites are located in remote locations. It also disrupts tidal cycles, which can affect certain communities. With solar panels, energy can only be harnessed in daylight hours. There's also cost affected with this energy. Pollution in cities with smog, like Shanghai, affects photovoltaic cell efficiency. So you cannot have solar cells in densely populated or high polluted cities. With biomass, the disadvantage can be deforestation. When people need land to harness this energy, they will deforest certain land to make space. This energy is not entirely clean because to burn the materials, carbon dioxide is produced, soot and ash are also produced. With wind, the wind is inconsistent, it's disruptive, and it's very unpredictable, so you don't know when to harness that particular power. People blame wind energy as an eyesore because it's located in rural parts of the country, so you're ruining that view for people. It also disrupts wildlife because birds, bats can easily fly in to the turbines and get killed. With hydroelectricity, there can be droughts or dry seasons which can affect the harnessing power of this resource. It also has to be built with the highest standards, so the accuracy and precision of these tools is pinnacle. It will take years to make a hydroelectric dam. With fuel cells, the technology isn't that expensive. People have already started experimenting with it. Honda, Hyundai, Land Rover have already started rolling out hydrogen cars. With some of these resources, people still haven't started implementing them, acknowledging them as well. Nuclear, solar, geothermal have been met, but certain tidal, wave power, radiant energy, they haven't been experimented with as much as fuel cells. Fuel cells has many social, economic, and environmental advantages. Fuel cells are very efficient. This energy is great because the public is not harmed by it, because fuel cells don't produce any emissions besides the two byproducts being water and hydrogen. Economic advantages being technology becoming cheaper for general good of the public, so people can fully rely on hydrogen and not oil. There are many environmental advantages. Fuel cells support environmental protesters because it does not produce emissions that can harm the environment. Fuel cells operate at a high efficiency. Fuel cells today operate at very high efficiency compared to combustible power plants, other renewable resources. They operate at 40 to 50% efficiency. Fuel cells also reduce noise emissions. They operate at 60 decibels. This is because fuel cells don't have any moving parts inside them, so they don't make as much noise. This also increases efficiency within the fuel cell. Many applications for fuel cells, one of them being NASA space shuttles. Hydrogen fuel cells are also used to power the space shuttle. The fuel cell is able to operate at a high efficiency while operating the electrical systems overboard. The hydrogen byproducts being distilled water, and heat. The crew drinks the distilled water, so it operates at a very high efficiency. NASA obtained the they don't obtain the fuel. It's liquid nitrogen, so they get that fuel naturally. They don't make it. Fuel cells are also being used in telecommunications, residential, and small commercial buildings. Small companies have found success selling fuel cell systems that provide long-running primary or backup power for telecom switch nodes, cell towers, and other electronic systems. These systems require a direct current power supply. These fuel cells also generate efficient electricity while being quiet, rugged, and durable for long periods of time, and non-replaceable. Fuel cells are also used for soldier power in Afghanistan, surveillance, mobile lighting, and battery chargers. Fuel cells can replace battery or generators, lightening the load carried onto the battlefield in Afghanistan, and providing uninterrupted power and extended run times to fuel computers and critical communications equipment. Certain fuel cells are now being demonstrated by soldiers deployed in Afghanistan. No other renewable resource is being used in military except for fuel cells. Passenger vehicles, buses, and campers are also used within fuel cell use. Buses, not so much at the moment, but certain vehicle companies are actually making prototypes. Cars are being implemented in and are now actually on sale in the US. Hyundai, Lexus, Honda, they've all released hydrogen vehicles that are for sale. In Europe, APUs, fuel auxiliary power units, are being sold as an optional accessory to power electronics in caravans or campers when being parked in remote locations or campsites. Thank you for your time. I hope you will like my video and persuade you why fuel cell is the best renewable resource. Thank you.